Episode 3 is upon us, and the competition on the rank ladder is fierce and more competitive than ever. If you're having a rough start to the new act and you want some tips to help you stick it out against the competition, don't worry, we got you. What's going on, ProGuides family? It is your host, Sergeant Frost, and today we're going to cover the 5 big reasons why you're losing your fights. One of the biggest mistakes that newer and older players alike make is playing in predictable spots on the map, both on offense and defense. Playing in certain spots on the map may work well at the start of the match, but against smart and diligent players, they will eventually start expecting you at certain areas. That means they will be ready to fight you and potentially also have utility to counter your position. The reason this is a bad habit is mainly because good players will adapt and start to notice your tendencies, which could lead to pre-aiming your position or abusing gaps in your defense. This situation will not play out in your favor often in-game. Playing too predictably lets your enemies create game plans to counter your position, which could potentially lead to your death or even a round loss. So, how do you fix this? Firstly, predictable positions are often what enemies will clear first. So, first be aware that you can also use this information against your enemies. Playing off angles could be a solution that can catch opponents off guard. For example, if you are playing extremely mobile agents such as Jet, Raze, and Omen, you can reach elevated off angles that most of the agents in the game will never be able to access. This allows you to get a high ground advantage on your enemy, and most people often won't check these spots because a high percentage of the time an agent won't be there. A few good examples of this is Yellow Crate on B site Icebox, on top of the boxes in B site Haven, and on top of the generator on A site Ascent. I think you guys get the idea. Even when you're playing an agent that can't reach these nice vertical off angles around the map, you can still find other off angles to catch your opponents off guard. Even a slight change in how you hold the angle could do wonders for that purpose, such as holding slightly wider or crouching or playing just to the side of a common angle. The key is to understand how people would normally clear positions and find ways to subvert their expectations. It's also fine to play close to attacker positions or in common spots from time to time. Sometimes the easiest way to get the drop on the enemy and surprise them is by playing in a position that seems too obvious. There's no better way to catch your enemies off guard than doing the exact thing they think you couldn't possibly do again. Try to get in the head of your opponents and switch your positions accordingly to keep them on their toes. That way, you're taking the initiative against them. Not sure how to do this? Consider visiting our website ProGuides.com. where our Radiant and Immortal level coaches are more than happy to share their experience with you to get you one step ahead of the competition. Taking initiative and finding a mentor is a great way to speed up your improvement and get you to the next level. This next reason for why you're losing your fights is a problem that is not exclusive to Valorant, and you will find many players in many different FPS games falling victim to this often. And that problem is not playing to your gun's strengths or within your gun's ideal range. This problem is usually not intentional, but is often subconsciously left out of consideration by the player when they are more focused on other factors in game. This results in taking gunfights outside of their weapon's range and having much more trouble securing the kill. Some players often take these bad or unfavorable fights and try to use good aim or good movement to make up for it. Mainly, a lot of people have short-range guns that they try to hold long angles with, and they'll end up losing the gunfight. Let me tell you personally, no matter how good your aim is, you can't expect to win against a Vandal at 50 meters with a Spectre. This type of situation also doubles as you playing into your enemy's gun strengths as well. If you swing into an SMG or a shotgun at close range with a rifle or a sniper, then you're giving the enemy the fights that they want to take, which directly results in you having a lesser chance of winning the duel. To fix this, first remember that when you select which weapon you want to go into the round with, you want to also decide the types of positions you want to play, or vice versa. If you want to hold hookah up close, try taking the judge out for a spin. Or if you picked up an AWP and no one on your team wants it, then take it to B long or A short to get a pick. Generally, if you have a gun that can take longer angles, try to take those longer angles, because if you're up against a shotgun or an SMG, you have a big advantage. If you have a gun that requires closer range duels, try to make utility work for you and create situations where you can close the distance. No matter what the considerations are, gun strengths and weaknesses are objective constraints set into the game. So don't think that just because you can hit a mean counter strafe, you're gonna outpeak an AWP holding an angle or get one pumped by a judge up close. Our next bad habit is something that everyone experiences to a degree, but affects newer players the most, and that is hesitation. This is usually a problem that is solved through time and experience, but confidence plays a large role in hesitation. If you aren't confident that you can win the game, then you're not doing any favors for yourself in actually winning that game. This can apply to taking gunfights, going for map control, using your ultimate, when to rotate, and when to flank. Hesitation can cause you to make delayed decisions that can throw off your timings and cause you to lose a fight. If you're questioning yourself at every move, then you're wasting precious mental energy that could be used to focus on winning the duel. So, how do you fix this problem? First, you need to be confident in every peek and map movement you make. But that doesn't mean that you should just start peeking things recklessly. It just means that if you are doing something, just give it your 100%. That means focusing on the moment rather than the potential consequences of the situation. Even if it might be a bad peek, leave the self-reflection for after you made the play. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And that also means if you play wishy-washy when you make a play, you'll never know if it was actually a good play or not. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Sometimes hesitation is a result of inexperience, and sometimes it's personal anxiety of not being good enough. Although experience can help you solve this issue, a player's mindset needs to be confident and clear. So we recommend trying to develop confidence through aim training and building strong fundamentals, because that confidence will transfer into your aim duels. The faster you gain confidence while playing in Valorant, the easier your hesitations will dissipate and the quicker you'll gain experience by making plays. So, the faster you stop hesitating, the more you can improve mechanically and mentally in-game. Before we continue on, we have to get to our question of the day. Today's question is, what do you think your biggest personal weakness is in Valorant? Personally, my weakness is that I find myself not being proactive enough on offense and waiting for my teammates to decide on what to do. I understand that being passive can allow you to stay alive longer in a round, but I think being proactive and trying to make plays around the map is better for taking control of the match. So, what are your personal weaknesses that you would like to work on? Let us know what you strive to fix about your own play in the comment section down below. Maybe some friendly people in the community can even give you their insight on how to fix your problems as well. Now, let's get right back into the video. Our next reason for why you lose fights often is a product of lack of focus or lack of awareness. This problem is not knowing what you are peeking, which can drastically change how you approach an angle through subtle changes. On one side, this could be due to a lack of focus during a game. Sometimes players will clear things just to clear things, and that can cause you to peek an angle while you're not mentally prepared. This allows players to potentially catch you off guard, which will result in you having to react and adjust to the enemy, which can spell the difference between life and death. On the other side, this can also come as a result as a lack of awareness. If you peek an angle without knowing an enemy can be there, that's the fastest way to put yourself in a disadvantageous fight. Or if you peek an angle but you're not comfortable with the layout of the map, you won't know where to place your crosshair when you peek. Because awareness is such a big factor in recognizing both of these situations, this problem is something that many people experience in game. What's worse is they don't have the awareness to know what's causing them to be in those positions in the first place. This sort of lapse in awareness can play out in many ways, from peeking an angle you didn't intend to, not being aware of an angle, or even clearing an angle that is already cleared and putting yourself in a bad position. To fix this issue, try to get comfortable with the map's layout, so that you can keep a mental note of where everything is, and the common spots that people like to play around the map. That way, you won't be unfamiliar with your mental picture of the map, and you'll have a better time with your crosshair placement. Secondly, make a rule that whenever you peek anything, make sure you're ready to peek it. Even if that means you need to take a moment to mentally prepare, do it. It's always better to confidently peek an angle rather than peek an angle while hesitating, as we just covered before. Much of this once again comes with confidence and building solid fundamentals, because awareness is best practiced through playing the game and gaining more experience. Of course, this only covers the side where your awareness is an issue. On the side of mental lapses, playing video games on autopilot is something that every player does on occasion. Our best suggestion is to try to enter games while feeling refreshed mentally, and also just try to notice when you're mentally tapped out, as that will hopefully bring you back in a little bit. Or it should signal that you should take a rest. While it sucks to have to stop the competitive grind because you're somewhat tired, I think your rank rating will thank you for it in the long run. Our final reason that causes you to lose fights is something that comes more as a bad habit, and that is committing too hard to fights. If this is you, don't worry, because even pros still struggle with this. Committing too hard to a fight can often cause you to get stuck out in the open or become an easy target for enemies. This usually comes with a slight lack of discipline and a whole lot of bad habits that you develop by playing high-pressure ranked games. But that's not saying committing to a fight is inherently a bad thing. In some cases, you should be committing to a fight. Like for instance, say you're fighting out in the open and you have no way to escape. However, that's not usually the case for most duels. Yet, people treat it like they have no escape. Sometimes people play in angles where they can totally escape or reposition from, but decide to crouch and spray, which literally just kills their chances of living longer into the round. You might have had the opportunity to recover if you didn't commit, but because you started spraying, you put yourself in a good position to get easily traded. Some angles are just meant for you to take some quick shots and leave, rather than to commit your whole clip into. To help with this, play in positions that have better cover. The more skilled you get with positioning, the less you'll find yourself committing to sprays because you'll have more options to escape. Also, you need to break this bad habit in some way, and that can be done through practicing and gaining confidence in your bursts and one-taps, and relying less on spray controls. One method that you can try is to go into a deathmatch with your crouch key unbound and only focus on one-tapping or bursting enemies when you fight. As you get more comfortable with the mechanics of other shooting styles, you'll naturally start to break out of the bad habit of relying on spray committing. Well guys, that is all we have for 5 reasons why you are losing your fights. If you enjoyed the video, then be sure to drop a like and consider subscribing if you want more daily Valorant content. We upload new videos just like this one every single day, and the best way to stay notified of that is by ringing that notification bell. Also, don't forget to check out ProGuides.com to gain some access to some truly amazing coaching. This has been your host, Sergeant Frost, and I will see you all in the next video.